Hi folks, so there was a fella called Admiral James Stockdale, and when he was a young officer in the US Navy, he was shot down in Vietnam and spent 8 years in the Hanoi Hilton. And he was a student of Stoic philosophy. And one of the things that he found out, which is now called the Stockdale paradox, is that he survived, and he survived because he knew he would prevail over the 8 years. The people that didn't survive, the other captives that didn't survive, were the people who were optimistic, he says. Okay, so he had full faith and hope that he would prevail. Okay, but he didn't expect to be rescued. Okay, so he was saying that the people who were the people that succumbed to the conditions were the people who said, we'll be out by Christmas, we'll be out by Easter, that kind of thing. Okay, so that's a Stockdale paradox. So he knew he would prevail. Okay, he had hope, but he didn't hope that he would be rescued. Okay, so paradoxes are really interesting things, and I looked up the definition just there, and it says a statement which appears to be or two ideas that appear to be contradictory, whereupon further investigation they are true. Okay, and in fact true. Okay, so how does that relate to our dog training? So you'll hear this thing, all dogs are different, we can't treat all dogs the same. And it's usually an excuse for more aversive training methods. So people turn around and say, well, you can't train a Malinois or a working line German Shepherd the same way as you can train a Chihuahua, or positive reinforcement training is fine for trick training or for easy behaviours like with little dogs like Bichons, but not for the hardline working dogs. Okay, now I would say, so there's a paradox there, okay, because the rules of the laws of learning are universal to all species. Behaviours which are reinforced reoccur, behaviours which are not reinforced extinguish, and behaviours which are punished, okay, reduce, as long as the punishment remains in place, or the threat of punishment. Okay, so we've got, on the one hand, our laws saying that the laws of learning are universal, and on the other hand, we've got this idea that all dogs are different. Okay, now I'm going to expand a little bit on that. All dogs are different. So yes and no. Yes, the yes is some dogs find things reinforcing which other dogs don't. Okay, so fairly typical Labrador, okay, or Golden Retriever, a fairly typical one, because there's always going to be exceptions, will like contact. Staffordshire Bull Terriers are the same for it as well, so they like petting and they like that attention. Okay, they really like it. Whereas an Akita or a livestock guardian, not so much. Okay, so we've got the same, the one stimulus. Okay, the interaction with the person. One dog finds it reinforcing and the other dog does not. Okay, but that doesn't give us license then to start using a more aversive approach with the Akita or the livestock guardian. Okay, so we look at introverts and extroverts. So I'm more on the introverted side. Okay, I can pretty much, not quite, okay, but I can take or leave human contact. Okay, or I want a very specific type of human interaction with people. Okay, small talk exhausts me. Okay, don't like being in weddings and parties and stuff like that. Okay, and having to make small talk with strangers. Ugh, right. Whereas people who like being around people, more extroverted people, get a real buzz from that. Okay. Okay, so all behaviour is capable. Behaviours which are reinforced reoccur. Okay, so if we find out what is reinforcing for the dog in that instance, so say for talking sake, our dog doesn't like being around in crowded spaces. Okay, the reinforcer for that dog there would be more space from the crowd. Okay, food might not be reinforcing in that instance, and that's when people start falling foul of this, because they're trying to use things which are not reinforcing for the dog in that moment. Okay, so I like a good burger the same as lots of people do. Okay, it's one of my favourite meals, a really well made burger. Okay, but if somebody is chasing me down the street, okay, and threatening my life, not so much. Okay, if I'm in the middle of if I'm in the gym and I'm lifting weights, or I'm training, and somebody offered me a burger, no, probably not so much. So there's very specific, Logan, good boy, very specific instances where I find those items reinforcing or not. But that doesn't mean that if you're trying to motivate me using the burger, in one instance, that doesn't mean that you get licensed to then start giving me a hard time. You then need to pick your reinforcers better, okay? You'll see people that will say things like with Malinois and working line German Shepherds that I mentioned before, and they'll say, yeah, but these dogs need a heavier hand, all right? So one, they love a ball, most of them love a ball, most of them play tug really well, okay, and most of them love food. And I turn around at that stage and go, if you can't train a dog who likes those three things, those three reinforcers which we can control, you're seriously doing something wrong if you're having to then start to use aversive training like prong collars and e-collars, okay, and corrections, all right? Okay, so just finally on that, it's working out what's your dog, what is reinforcing for your dog in that moment, okay, and then attaching a behaviour to that. So, okay, there he's there. So we've been playing for the last, so he's done a big search out here. He's been searching for, we've done article searches for 15 minutes, and then he's played in his rope swing. Okay, he's tired, and what he now needs is a nap and a big drink of water. Okay, need to get him in and get him relaxed, and he's starting to actually regulate himself here. This is quite nice for him. Okay, if I wasn't to recognise that that's what he needs in this moment, and then I start asking him to do something which he can't do or hasn't got the training for, our reinforcers are wrong, and that's when people turn around and say, yeah, but all dogs are different. Okay, yeah, they're different in what motivates them, but they can be motivated, and positive reinforcement training works on all of them. Okay, and very lastly, his favourite thing is this. Okay, that's his favourite thing in the world. And a lot of time, years ago when I started working with him and I posted more content about him, people would say, what's in the Kong? Okay, is there food in the Kong? And I'm like, no, he just likes it. Okay, so Logan, right, so hang on. So you see how he just likes the opportunity to do that. Okay, that's it, that's all he wants to do with it. He wants to jump up, grab it, hold it in his mouth, carry it. Okay, and it's his favourite thing in the world. And he gets to decide that, not me. I don't get to decide, well, no, I'd rather you prefer you had steak, pal. Well, it's not me, it gets to decide it. Okay, so just a few thoughts there. Yes, the motivators for the dogs are different, but no, not all dogs are different, because if we know what we're doing, positive reinforcement training works on all dogs. All dogs.